Okay. Gotta love opening night. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Southwestern Football Weekly. My name is Merle Bertrand from Vype Live, joined by head coach Joe Austin, our technical director, Sita Vincott, and Jack Farrell shaking off the cobwebs. It's been about 5 years since we've been here, so good to be back, and we'll be better to go next week. And Coach, good to see you again. Good to be back here in Georgetown.
Good to see you again, Merle. There's some folks here that remember Merle and all the years that he spent with us. I was going to bring my Merle's Marauders t-shirt. I don't know if David Gaines still has his. We'll probably break those out and put those on camera. But, of course, all of our players have turned over. Merle was our first play-by-play announcer, and Suna was our first director and producer with a different company. And I told you, I don't remember this, I said it wouldn't surprise me if we're working together again someday.
That's right,
And here we are with Vype Media. We're excited for that partnership and excited to be working with you again and have you back at the call. I think the last time you did our games, you won a championship. So Merle, no pressure on you or anything, but let's go.
Yeah, I think the 10-second recap, for those who don't know, Vype Media acquired K-Max Sports in 2018, so a lot of the people are the same, some of them are different, and we brought Southwestern football the first year in the ASC in 2017, so we'll see you guys out of the ASC this year. Everything kind of bookends.
That's right.
So, I know we're going to talk about training camp and all that kind of stuff, but I just kind of want to give your thoughts and give props to you because 10th year of Southwestern football since you brought the program back after I think it was 63 years, if I remember right. So
63.
Things have changed since that. My favorite description: the best 13th grade team in the state of Texas. Things have changed. Your thoughts on 10 years of Southwestern football?
I don't know. Ask me another 10 when I have better perspective on it. In some ways, it's been really fast, and in some ways, it's really drug and been long. For those that have followed us those first couple of years, you said we were a 13th grade football team.
Right.
In 2013, we had 91 freshmen and 1 sophomore. And then we went through all the difficulties with COVID of, basically being out of our weight room for 18 months and being so disjointed as a football team. So I feel like we've restarted football twice.
Right.
And it's good to be back to normal, a great season to wrap up the ASC, and I'm sure as we go through the season, we'll talk more about what the future has for us. But it's going to be an exciting year, and our players are really excited to be back to a fully normal routine.
And it's kind of cool because a lot of the coaches have been with you that entire time. Some of your former players are now in the coaching staff. My mom had an English teacher when I was in high school that was my English teacher in high school. You had more wins than than Miss Mills, though, Coach. So
that's good.
That's a good thing. So talked about things kind of returning back to normal. Let's go back real quick to last year's season. Kind of a slow start for you guys, but a good finish. How does that lead into the season for you? Do you think?
Well, I think it leads in really well. We were coming off of a really long break, and we did a little bit in that spring, but we finally got back to a routine last fall. And we ended really, really well. We ended on a 3-game winning streak, all 3 blowout wins. It was great, too, in the middle game in that 3-game winning streak. We got down against Texas Lutheran, had a chance to show some grit and diligence and come back in that. Our players were really excited. And, of course, we lost some good players. We lost a few all-conference players and graduated some players. We have a lot of folks back. In fact, so many are too deep open because when we get to that, I don't want to forget anyone. We have 9 returning starters on defense and 7 on offense. We had a lot of momentum into spring football. I think spring football went great, momentum into the summer, and then hopefully we can pick up where we left off as we start this fall season.
What was that training camp like for you guys? Of course, it hasn't rained since about 1942 until last week, but what was training camp like for you guys to get everybody back and working again, like you said, more on a normal clock and a normal routine?
It's a pretty typical thing that it doesn't rain for a long time until training camp. So it's not a big deal for us. We're just going through a typical training camp phase where we're trying to get through the normal run of soft tissue injuries. You get a couple sprained ankles, you get a couple pulled groins, a couple quad strains, and as much of that as we can heal up this week will go a long way to the team we put on the field this Saturday. But it's been just a normal training camp. It's so different than it used to be, even 5-6 years ago when we were doing 2-a-day practices. Now it's all 1-a-day. The volume is really cut back, but you still have soft tissue injuries that you have to work through. So a big focus for us as we end training camp and we start our game week next week is how fresh we can get to be by the end of the week and how healthy we can get to be by the end of the week.
And for folks that don't know, maybe freshman parents and families watching, What is the practice schedule like for the team? Is it morning practices? Is it afternoons? Does it kind of depend on the week? How does that work out?
We're an afternoon team because that's what fits the Southwestern class grid. So we do a lot of our weightlifting in the morning, a little bit in the afternoon, depending on what players' class times are, and then we start our meetings and our practice routine after the class date has ended, and it fits well because we changed class grids 3 or 4 years ago, maybe not even that long, at least a couple years ago. And it really fits well because we used to be worried about, players missing classes for a lab or a class that ran late. And now there's a good break where we can have our players, not as long as we'd like to, but for a couple hours in the afternoon, we can get our guys together and have a really good, cohesive group where we know we're not missing players for practice.
And it's different, too. We'll talk about it a little bit with some of the guys here tonight. Chuck Grace will be back probably in the next couple of weeks. He'll be talking to some of the guys as well. And one of the things that's always fascinated me, it's different at the college level than it is in high school to try to get those studies in, especially at a place like Southwestern where such an emphasis is placed on academics.
They're busy. There's no doubt. So one of the things that we've already done is we've trained all of our new players on how to use our calendar system so that they can be organized. Putting in and I encourage them to put everything into their study time, not just blocking out classes and football practice, but put in everything you have to do in your day. And then today, in fact, right now they're wrapping up training with our librarians on how to do college-level research and how to use the library resources. So we're trying to equip them with tools to be organized. We're talking to them constantly about our time management model. And then I'll be meeting with all of our players throughout the next 3 weeks to make sure that they're getting off to a good start. We're talking about their goals. We're talking about their schedule, how they're using their calendar. And that's a really good way to get our players off to a good start. The better they can get at time management and using their calendar, the better off they'll be as students.
And there's at least 1 or 2 guys on the staff. That's one of the things they look out for as well, is that academic development to make sure that the guys are keeping up with things. Is that correct?
Well, we all are really, and so we've got a great alert system where we can get information if the player's having some issues, and then as a staff, as the head coach, but as position coaches and offensive defensive coaches, we can drill down on that pretty quickly and try to get the student that's having an issue to whatever resources that they need. We can get that done fairly, I would say, very efficiently and quickly.
Right. Well, the team had their first scrimmage of the year against somebody else. I think it was like 9 or 10 days ago. I don't remember the exact day, but against Texas Wesleyan. What were some of your takeaways from that?
Well, as the head coach, you want to come out of your preseason game without injuries. And we had nothing long-term. We didn't lose anyone for the year. We had some soft tissue things, which happen in any preseason game. But I thought we did well. We were able to get a look at almost everyone on our whole lineup, on our whole roster, I should say. We got to play our 1s and 2s all the way down to our 3s and 4s. They got to go against Texas Wesleyan and get good film. So it's just a great opportunity to compete, a great opportunity to get film and evaluate where we were before our season. It was kind of a double-edged sword in that we had to do that scrimmage just a week into our training camp because Texas Wesleyan played last weekend.
Oh, wow.
So they needed to get that scrimmage in. For them, it was 1 week before their game. For us, it was 2. The nice thing is you have a little bit more time to analyze and to heal up from any bumps and bruises from the scrimmage. But it was earlier than probably you'd want to ideally do it. If it was 3 or 4 days later, I think it would have been optimal timing for us. But it's so hard to scrimmage with preseason games. And so you kind of take what you can get and you work out what's the best thing is for each school.
And you had, I'm guessing, an intra-squad scrimmage before that as well, right? Or
that
was it.
Yeah, it was such a fast turnaround in our training camp that was really our first time we were tackling and doing a lot of those things in training camp. It was all instruction and all installation of what we're doing with our offense and defense before we got to the Texas Wesleyan scrimmage.
It was interesting for me because we're so plugged into the high school world. That was a long scrimmage. I mean, high school, you'll do, set of plays and that kind of thing, which you guys did as well. And then they'll maybe do like a simulated quarter or 2 quarters with the running clock. You guys played almost a full game. That really struck me. It was a really good opportunity to see a lot of guys get some work.
It was, but when you look at the volume, I don't think anyone played more than a quarter and a half.
Right.
So what we did was the 2 head coaches talked about what we wanted to make sure we accomplished. So we scripted some situations. We did all of our special teams to make sure we got film of that and could see our players on that. We did an overtime. We did some 2-minute. We did some goal line red zone plays.
Right.
And then we played basically a high school length football game. We did 12-minute quarters. And that gave us a chance to see our ones and twos a little bit more, but it also gives us a chance to see all the depth of our roster, all of our younger players, give them a chance to develop and get film for us to teach them on. So it really was I'm sure from the outside looking in, it was a good length of scrimmage. Seemed like a full game's worth of plays, but from an individual volume standpoint, it really wasn't more than they'd have at a practice. No one took more than 25, 30 plays, which is probably what you would do in a normal training camp practice.
Well, you kind of touched on my next question. How much, and I know it probably varies for you from year to year, but how much was it ones versus ones, twos versus two? How much mixing and matching was there to get a look at how everybody, kind of like auditioning for a part in a movie, how well people work together?
It was all pretty well paired. Neither of the coaches wanted to throw their freshmen out against their team seniors.
Right.
There's still a pretty big discrepancy between, especially since we had only 1 week's worth of practices. Mm-hmm. It's not fair to throw a bunch of young players out that have had 7 college football practices against fifth-year seniors that have been around for a long time. So there was an awful lot of communication about how we were going to match the experience level and the physical maturity level of the players that we had practice against each other. Because when it comes down to it, it was a practice.
Right.
There was no score kept officially, so we wanted it to be really beneficial for both teams.
No freshmen against seniors? You didn't want to go back and relive 2013, huh?
No, I've seen enough 18-year-olds play 22-year-olds. I've done that before.
Well, after the scrimmage and that kind of thing, what are the areas that you're most confident in? What are the areas that you want the guys to keep working on the most? What are some of the highs and lows for you heading into the season opener?
That's a great question. As a head coach, you're always worried about everything, I guess.
Right.
It's hard. There's never enough preparation time. There's never enough repetitions. I think just the main thing for us right now, nothing really to do explicitly with the scrimmage, is it's an important week for us to get healthy, to get guys back from just some of the rigors of training camp, the fatigue of training camp, and the extent that we can do that will go a long way into our success this weekend.
Well, the last question for you on the training camp, and to wrap up the first segment, impressions. Speaking of freshmen, what are your impressions of the freshman class? Your first chance to get a look at them out in the football field.
It's a good group. It's a very talented group. I think they came in with a great attitude and a great mindset. Craig Way asked me earlier this week on one of his shows, what do you like best about this football team? And I told him that I just like the football team. Mm-hmm. There's not players that you're like, oh my gosh, I gotta coach this guy today. He's difficult to work with. We don't really have that. We've got a great group of players that come to work every day. They're excited about it. They're coachable. They work well with each other. They're good to each other from a relationship standpoint. So I think that's something that I'm really enjoying about how we're coming out of training camp and how things are looking going into the season.
And that's no guarantee, is it? You're going to get some groups of guys hate each other. You're going to get some groups of guys like each other but just don't play well together. So that's always kind of a wild card, I'm guessing, heading into the season to find out what you got.
It's no guarantee, and so it's really a fortunate thing, and I don't want to take it for granted. I just think we have a really great group of young men that are working really well together.
Well, we'll talk about the season opening break at the end of the show, but I want to give you a chance. Any final thoughts here about the preseason so far?
No, it's been good. It's been fast. 2 weeks go by really quickly, especially when 1 week they're balancing school and football. But I think they're really excited. They're on a kind of a 2-day break now. We ended practice yesterday morning, so they've had all day yesterday and all day today into tomorrow afternoon. So they're getting a really big block to freshen up, and I think they're going to come in really excited to get ready for California Lutheran. I know we'll talk more about that in the fourth quarter.
Sounds good. And we'll hear from a couple of the guys here in the next 2 segments. Starting with the defense, it'll be defensive captains Nick Hackett and Peyton Ludeman coming after the break. We'll take a break and let them get in here and get resettled. You're watching Southwestern Football Weekly on Vype Live.
All right, you guys have to get shoulder to shoulder.
All right, we'll get inside. I'll let you go on the inside. I might take up too much space in there.
Get down the center to anchor.
Yeah, we can. Might be shoulder to shoulder, though.
To widen this out here. There we go. We all good? Time for a break? All right. Welcome back to the Southwestern Football Weekly here on Vype Live. Merle Bertrand here, joined by a couple of the defense standouts for the Southwestern Pirates, Mr. Nick Hackett and Mr. Peyton Ludeman. And guys, first off, just introduce yourselves to the folks at home that might be just tuning in for the first time. We'll start with you on the end.
Nick Hackett, fifth-year senior, captain, defensive tackle.
I'm Peyton Ludeman. I am a senior. I'm a defensive back, and I'm a captain.
So the quick questions for you both is, what attracted you both to Southwestern? I'm going to have you put your microphone up just a little bit closer to your mouth. It's kind of a funky one. There you go.
What brought me to Southwestern is I love the academics. I love the team. I knew a guy named Devin Shaw. I'm sure you've heard of him. He was playing here, and so he told me about this place, and I fell in love with it, fell in love with the team, the program, and I've loved it ever since.
Peyton?
For me, it was just kind of similar to what Hackett said. You know, I just fell in love with the campus and the culture of Southwestern, and I came on an overnight visit and met a lot of the players, and just kind of felt like home. So since then, it's just been where I am, my home.
Yeah, Georgetown's a really, really nice place. Nick, talk about getting the fifth year back because of COVID for you. What was that like? You heard Coach talking about, just getting a few games in back in 2020, which is weird for everybody. What was it like getting that fifth season back and finding out you were going to get to come back? And was it a hard decision to come back?
It was not a hard decision for me. I mean, I love this game. So as soon as I heard that I could take an extra year, I was ecstatic about it. I actually added another minor into my academic degree, so I could stay. I kind of pushed the limit on credits and right now and to stay, and I love it here. And so it was a no-brainer for me to come back and play another season with these guys.
Well, the true confession, I've never quite understood completely how that worked, who was eligible, who wasn't. So are you eligible to get the extra year, and if so, are you going to take it?
I am eligible, and I am going to take it. I already changed my degree plan to push me back till December of 23. So I'll be here for one more season.
Good move. Good, like you said, you're pushing the limit on credits. That's a pretty slick move. They're smart here at Southwestern, that's for sure. You both had very solid seasons last year, played in all 10 games. How do you figure that's going to help you out heading into this year, having that full season of college ball under your belt where you played every single game? That's for both of you.
Our experience on the defensive side is amazing. I think, he said we brought back nine players from last year. If you add up the amount of years that we have starting and in our two deep, everybody's either a junior or senior, I'd say. We've got some young guys that are going to get playing time, but experience overall, we're there, and we know what to do. We've been around the program, so this camp has been a lot about just tuning in the little things and getting ready to start the year off right.
And I think the biggest thing we have just with the 9 guys returning is our chemistry. We have the chemistry, we have the communication, and all the keys that we need to success. We're comfortable with each other on the field, and that plays a big part in just being able to go out there and play really good football.
Yeah, Coach mentioned a lot of guys coming back, so 9 guys back on defense, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So it must have felt like, when you guys opened camp, it must have felt like you never stepped away. And how much did you pick on the new guys that are breaking into the starting lineup?
Oh, not at all. We love the new guys coming in. As soon as they walk in, we let them know that they're part of a brotherhood. We immediately integrate them in, and as soon as they're here, they have the same experience as a senior with your senior. They're here to play. We're here to play, and we're all one team.
Yeah, talk about that experience of getting all the guys back, and how much of it has become second nature now, and what will be basically your 11th game playing together.
I think that just getting everybody on the team just up to speed and being able to bring the new guys in and the old guys in and have a really good camp just helps our depth. And I mean, we've seen it in years past where sometimes we run into some depth issues and people get hurt, and being able to work together and bring this great group of freshmen in just helps really build the whole team up and get good looks from scout teams and everyone.
Talk about beyond football. Talk about your experience in general at Southwestern. What do you like to do on campus? What do you like to do when you're not playing football? Just all that kind of stuff.
The campus is amazing. I love walking around it. Everything's beautiful there. Everybody's so nice. You get to see so many people. Such a small campus that you get to meet people that aren't in football, that are different sports. And you see them walking around. You see them in the dining halls. You see them in classes. So the community is really tight-knit. And one of my favorite things to do is go down to the square and walk around. It's such a unique place here in Georgetown. And it's amazing down there.
What about for you?
Kind of the same thing as Nick said, just being able to go around campus and see everybody, and everyone's such a tight-knit community that everywhere you walk, you see everyone you know. So that's really just a great home feel for campus, and Georgetown community is just amazing, being able to go to the square, go down to the San Gabriel River, go fishing every once in a while, you know. Those are some of my favorite things to do.
Well, that kind of leads into my next question. Well, I'll get to that in just a second. I wanted to ask you real quick. Now, this was a long time ago for you because you're both seniors, but how different is college football from high school football?
It's incredibly different. It's a different pace. I remember back whenever I was a freshman just realizing how quickly the game goes, how quickly everybody's integrated. Everybody knows what they're doing right off the bat. And like Coach Austin said, when you're 18, you're playing against 22-year-olds. That's a different level. There's a different level of development, different level of skill, different knowledge of the playbook. So it really does make a difference. But it's nice now to be the upperclassman now. So I'm not feeling that anymore.
And Peyton, I'm guessing, just a simple difference that people don't think about. A high school game is 12 minutes long. A college game is 15 minutes long. You're basically playing a five-quarter game compared to what you played in high school.
Yeah, exactly. Just the wear and tear on your body is just a little bit more. So coming in as a freshman, you have to get used to that and get used to feeling a little more banged up and bruised the next day and things like that. And it's a little bit of a different aspect of the game.
Well, what is your favorite memory so far? It doesn't have to be on the football field. It can be on the football field. It can be both. But what's your favorite memory so far throughout your college career here at Southwestern?
My favorite memory by far would be my freshman year during camp. We had a rain delay, and we all got in the locker room. We played on some music. We had dance battles. We had rap battles. It was a blast. I've said that before, but it's been by far my favorite memory so far.
What about you, Peyton?
I think one of the coolest things to see at Southwestern being a football player is seeing your teammates kind of grow up. Mm-hmm. And those guys that brought you in under the wing freshman year getting to grow up and graduate and get into their professional lives, and being able to go to graduation, see them walk the stage, and see some of your best friends just accomplish great things.
Are you still in touch with some of the guys that were juniors and seniors when you guys were first coming into the program?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, for sure.
So with that in mind, if you could go back in time, what would you tell yourself as a freshman, knowing what you know now?
Well, that's a good question.
I was pretty proud of that one, I have to admit. That was one of those pop awake at 1 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I better write that one down.
One thing I would say as a freshman is just, continue to make those connections, get involved throughout campus in different things, including football, and really just, stay in touch with those guys because they're going to be your best friends for life. So, yeah.
I think for me, just tell myself to really embrace every second of it, because you never know when a pandemic's going to hit you, or when different life things happen, So that kind of took us for a turn, and just making sure that as a young guy, you never know what's going to happen. You never know
Right.
how long you're going to have playing football or in college. So just make the most of every second.
Well, before we let you guys go and get ready for Saturday night, any shout-outs that you want to give, friends, family, anybody like that?
I just want to thank the entire defensive line. We're going to go out there and we're going to take care of business. Hi, Mom and Dad.
Shout out to the defensive backfield and the linebackers. I don't leave them out, But shout out to them. We've been working hard and ready to give it our best.
Well, guys, it's great to meet you, and good luck on Saturday. Good luck throughout the season. And, if I don't see you again up close and personal like this, good luck beyond your Southwestern career.
Sir, thank you.
Nick Hackett and Peyton Ludeman, our defensive co-captains heading into 2022. We'll take a quick break and be right back. It'll be the offensive side of the ball. It will be Landry Gilpin and Ethan Powell coming up right after this break. You're watching Southwestern Football Weekly on the Vype Live Network. And welcome back for quarter number 3 of SU Football Weekly here on Vype Live. Merle Bertrand now joined by the offensive side of the ball. Quarterback Landry Gilpin to my right and Ethan Powell, wide receiver, to my far right. So thanks to those guys for coming up here. And, offense usually has the advantage because you guys know where you're going to go. You guys have already seen the defensive guys. You kind of know what some of the questions are. You've had a little chance to scheme, so I won't be able to trick you up as much as I was able to trick them up. But I will ask you both to take a moment or two and introduce yourselves. We'll go from right to left.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me tonight. My name's Ethan Powell, captain, senior, receiver.
Thank you for having me. My name's Landry Gilpin. I'm a quarterback here, senior, and first-year captain.
And for those who don't know, Ethan is from Mason, which isn't that terribly far away. You, sir, on the other hand, are a long ways away, from way down in Mission. I had to look at Veterans Memorial, but there's about 4 of them. What I found out was, well, how did you wind up here at Southwestern?
It was one of the places that had been consistently in communication with me throughout my high school career, and they would send me emails, they would send me letters, and it was one of the places that I really considered throughout my high school career about taking a visit to. And once I took my visit here, this is where I knew I was going to be. Yes, sir.
What about you, Ethan? What brought you to Southwest? What attracted you to this place?
So being close to Southwestern, only about an hour west, driving through Georgetown, I would come here often to see family because I have family here in Georgetown. Just falling in love with the city. It's so beautiful. And for Southwestern, I have a sister who's two years older than me, and she went here. She was equipment manager for the football team. So I kind of got the behind the scene looks, and she told me all about the team, the coaches, and just everything she told me about the program, I really was excited to be a part of it.
And for both of you, talk about your experiences here at Southwestern. Has it kind of met your expectations, exceeded your expectations? Talk about that a little bit.
Oh, definitely. I think when I took my visit here, I really fell in love with not only just the team and the school, but what we were trying to accomplish as a team. And I think that every year we're taking that step closer and closer, and we're definitely getting to where I expected to be, and I'm excited about that.
What about for you?
Definitely exceeded my expectations. Just falling in love with the campus. Every single friend you make here is going to be a friend for lifelong. And then your teammates, growing up with them, coming in here 18 years old, and now we're all 21, 22, and I feel like we all set ourselves up for success. We get to see each other grow, and just, it's all been a blessing.
Feel pretty old, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
Wait till you get to be my age. You just wait. Landry, career high in all major categories last year, Week 2 ASC Player of the Week. How much do you expect last year's success to kind of provide some momentum heading into this year as a senior year?
Definitely, all those career highs are a tribute to my team and what we were able to do together. I think that definitely showed us that we're not only capable of doing something like that, but we're able to, and that we're going to be able to do that moving forward. And having that last momentum push with those 3 games in the last part of the season really helped us with not only our confidence but our cohesiveness as a team. And that's really a bright spot in what we're going to be going into this season with.
And Ethan, I know you were named the most improved player. Was that 2 years ago or last year? I wasn't quite sure.
That was 2 years
COVID
after
kind
the
of screwing
COVID
things
season.
up a little bit, yeah. How much does that inspire you to keep building on that, knowing that you saw that level of improvement?
I was thankful to get the award coming off. I was freshman to sophomore year, and just I really wanted to be a part of the team because I went from JV to being on varsity, and I really wanted to show the team that I really want to work hard and improve the team in any way I can, and just to work every day for constant improvement. We preach on constant improvement, get better every single day. And I think that a great thing about this team is that everyone's getting better. Every single day, everyone puts pride in constant improvement, and we're just all building that as a team.
Well, this might actually be a better question for Coach, but you ran the ball an awful lot last year. Do you consider yourself a running quarterback, or are you doing that to set up the pass to find guys like Ethan down the field, or a little bit of both?
Definitely. I've always considered myself to be a dual-threat quarterback, one that can put it down when he needs to, but also throw the ball. And I think it definitely helps keep the defense on their toes when you're able to run the ball and throw it is where you need it to be. And so I definitely think that's part of my my character as a quarterback.
You and the other receivers kind of gotten used to working with him now a little bit. You kind of know when he's actually going to run the ball, when he's going to fire it down the field.
Yes.
Have you figured it out by now?
Kind of. With Landry, you really never know what he's going to be doing.
Right.
So you always got to be ready because when he has the ball, he can do anything he wants with it. If you're backside, the ball might be coming your way, and you just got to be ready for anything that he does because we have a lot of trust in him too.
Right.
And it's great having Landry back there as a receiver standpoint.
Well, like Nick and Peyton, you guys also both played in all 10 games last year, so kind of like them, how does that help you out getting ready for this season? You know what you're in for now. You know what the grind is like with a 10-game college schedule. How does that help you guys out?
Oh, definitely. It was a great learning experience considering that was my actual first full 10-game season. I had gotten injured my freshman year. We went through the COVID season, which was cut short. And last year was my first chance at getting a full 10-game season since I've been in college football. And definitely a learning experience. It definitely teaches you not only the preparation you need mentally, but physically, and getting in the trainings room, getting everything you need to do, lifting the right amount of weights that you need to, and definitely taking those breaks in between that you need to in order to let your body rest. And so this past season was a really good learning lesson for not just me, but for the team.
What about you, Ethan?
Thinking about it's just a 10-week season. That sounds really short saying it, but it's a long process.
Yeah.
And we just got to focus on taking it week by week, being mentally and physically prepared, because that's a big thing too, mentally, because we're at Southwestern. We have hard classes, and we got to stay focused on both classes and football. So we just got to have good time management, just consistently all throughout the season.
And I asked the other guys, what are you eligible for 5th years, and are you planning on coming back, or is it still kind of up in the air for you both?
I know I'm eligible for a 5th year, and I will be coming back.
Ethan?
I am eligible for a 5th year, but I don't think I'll be coming back. I really wish I could. I love the program. I really wish I could come back, but just with my degree plan, it's right for me.
What is your plans after college, or after you finish up here? What are your plans?
I'm probably going to be leaning into the coaching field. I grew up around my dad, who was my head coach in high school.
Right.
I've been around the game for that long. I love it. I know how passionate he is about it, and I think that we've always shared that same passion towards it. And so that's definitely something I'm going to look into getting into. I don't know what level yet, whether it's going to be at the high school level or the collegiate level, but that's where I'm probably going to be going into.
What about you, Ethan?
So just last week I got accepted into Rice to get my master's in accounting. Wow. And so, thank you. So I'll be doing that next fall, and then after that working for a Big 4 corporation, but still trying to find my way back to football, volunteer, coach Pee Wee, stuff like that.
Well, good deal. I asked the other guys this as well. How have you found college football to be different from high school football? You're smiling. You must have been thinking about that answer.
Yeah, well, I heard what they said, and it's pretty accurate. And I also heard about your input on it. I think the biggest difference is definitely the extended quarters, the quarter duration. It is a lot longer. I agree that scrimmage, it felt longer, and it's just definitely something you have to get used to. Going for 15 minutes for 4 quarters does add that whole extra quarter in comparison to high school, and that's definitely a lot more wear and tear, but it also teaches you a lot of lessons. Like, you do have to be more responsible about how you're spending your time off the field, which is, are you getting rehab in the training facility, are you resting, are you sleeping right? And so I think that's definitely the biggest thing for me, is the change in time that we spend playing football and just learning how to take care of your body after that.
I think the biggest difference is just the mindset from going from high school to college, because everyone in college in the NCAA, they're there for a reason.
Right.
They want to be there, and everyone is usually physically bigger, more mature, older, but also they know the game more. They get to play it for another 4 years. You know the game inside and out, and you're prepared more. And I love the competition. I think everyone on our team is competitors, and we love going against people that are like us too, and it's kind of set throughout the conference.
I've always had a lot of respect for the guys that play any sport at the D3 level. I mean, if you're playing in Texas or something like that, you're looking to go pro maybe. Not that guys can't go pro from NCAA 2 or 3, but it reminds me a lot of semi-pro football. You got to really love the game to put in that kind of work. Is that kind of the mentality that you guys have, knowing what you're getting yourselves in for every single week?
Oh, definitely. I think we attack training the same way that a division program or Division I program would, but we also know where we're going to be. We also know the likeliness of any of us going to the NFL. And I think the best part about Division II, Division III is what you said. It's the love for the game. It's a lot of guys that are out there giving everything they have because that's what they want to do with their time, not because they're looking to further their own career, they're looking to do anything else. It's about loving the sport that you're playing and really just being able to do that.
I 100% agree with that. It's all for the love of the game. You go to practice every single day, not because you have to, but because you want to.
Right.
And it's just enjoying every single little thing because you know it's not something that lasts forever, and it's just enjoying it while you can.
Well, I wanted to give you guys a chance to answer this question. What's your favorite memory so far? And again, can be football related, doesn't have to be football related. What's your favorite memory here at Southwestern thus far?
Definitely, I don't know if you know this, but we've been roommates for the past few years, so I think...
And you're still speaking to each other.
I think it was definitely when we both took that step in the program to where we were guys that the team could count on and guys that the team looked to make something happen. And whenever you're rooming with a guy like that, you're able to go home and talk about what you do for football, and just being able to relate to things like that was pretty neat.
I'm going to have to say the same thing.
I should start asking you first. He's taking all your lines.
No, but I'm thankful for Landry. He's really helped me along the way. He's really been like a big brother to me. and just helping me with football, outside of football. But another thing that I really just enjoy is like the locker rooms after the game, the bus rides home, enjoying that with the entire team because you put so much work into it week by week. And then once that work, you get results of winning, you celebrate with your entire team and everyone's just at their happiest time.
And that's a great point, actually. It's 365 days in the year. There are 10 Saturdays that you actually get to play football. So I would imagine you really got to savor those moments, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm going to twist up the question that I asked them. If you could go back in time, not what you would tell yourself as a freshman, but what would you tell other freshmen coming in?
I would just definitely tell them that it's a process. You're not going to get to where you want to be. You're not going to be the guy that you want to be for the team on the first day.
Right.
A lot of these guys came from their high schools. They were superstars for their hometown team, and they come over and they expect to be that for a bigger program. And it's definitely a speed change. It's definitely a size change, a strength change. So you have to adjust to all of that. So I would definitely tell them, hey, enjoy the process. It's going to be a journey, but you're eventually going to be able to get to where you want to be if you put in that work.
Yes, sir. Gotta trust the process. And also learn from the people around you, your teammates, your coaches, because they're going through the same things. Usually the upperclassmen know how things work, how school, and you just gotta really pay attention, learn from other people's mistakes and success, and just really grow as a person and take those times to really enjoy every single moment you can.
Well, any final thoughts or any shout-outs you guys want to give?
Oh, I definitely know my parents are watching, so shout out to Mom and Dad.
I'd like to give a shout out to my entire family, but especially my mom, because today is her birthday.
Oh,
hey,
very
happy
cool.
birthday.
Happy birthday. That is pretty awesome. Well, guys, thanks for coming up here tonight. Good luck this season. I'm looking forward to kind of watching you guys play and reacclimating myself, and it should be a lot of fun on Saturday night. Good luck.
Sure, thank you.
Landry Gilpin and Ethan Powell, senior offensive captains for the Southwestern Pirates. We'll take one final break and be back for the fourth and final quarter with Coach Austin looking ahead to this Saturday night's game against California Lutheran. We'll take a break and be right back. You're watching SU Football Weekly on Vype Live. And welcome back to the fourth and final quarter of SU Football Weekly. Merle Bertrand here with Suna Vincott and Jack Farrell. Nathan Nunez, our QA, back at the comfy, cozy Vype Live studios, better known as his living room sofa, monitoring the broadcast and making sure that we're staying on the air and sounding good. Coach Austin is back up here with us. The Pirates open the 2022 season at home Saturday against California Lutheran. The Kingsmen won last year's season opener 30-7 to 7 in Thousand Oaks. Lots of Southwestern mistakes seem to take the Pirates out early last year. 0 yards passing. The good news, Coach, is the Pirates get a do-over at home, and I'm guessing you're anticipating a much better outcome here on Saturday night.
We're excited about it. We've come so far from that game. We talked about how we were just coming off of of all of our hurdles from the pandemic stuff. But we're also in the first game of our new offense. We'd switched to a run-and-shoot style offense that fits Landry and Ethan and a whole bunch of guys on our team. It fits them really well. And it was our first game, and so it wasn't a great game. But when you look at how we played the last third of the season, as you mentioned in the first quarter, we're hoping to really pick up there. Defensively, we played a decent game against them last year, except for a few big plays. We gave up a couple long scoring plays, big chunks that made it easier for them to score. And we really did a good job later in the season of eliminating those things. So it really is just how much we can pick up where we left off. And as I keep saying, making sure we can come out of the training camp phase and put the best players on the field that we can this Saturday.
You had, as you always do, you had one of the great lines. You said something about when you fell behind early, we couldn't run our plays, we couldn't run any plays. Is that one of those things that just kind of summed up the afternoon last year?
Yeah, it wasn't a great day offensively, but it was a learning experience.
Right.
And we really got things, I think, going in a totally different direction offensively, as exhibited by the way we ended the season.
Well, I'm always fascinated, especially with these out-of-state matchups like this, how this comes about. How did you connect with them? How did you set up this series for the home and away series against Cal Lutheran?
Desperation. Both teams needed a game. It's really hard to get non-conference games, and things get scheduled so far in advance. I'm working on games that are like 7-8 years from now to try to make sure we have early season games before your conference schedule kicks in. And Cal Lutheran was in a similar situation where they needed a first week game, and they already play everybody on the West Coast in their conference, so they have to travel to fill in games, and it just worked that both teams needed to play, and were willing to do a little bit of travel by necessity. It still is a good recruiting thing. I think their team's probably excited about getting to take the trip to Texas, and our guys were excited last year about getting to take the trip to California, but really it's a marriage of convenience.
And of course, you went there last year, home this year, with a new conference coming up next year. Would it, hindsight being 2020, would it have been nice to be able to play them at home or away this year, so you get the guys used to making those kind of long road trips again?
Well, you take what you can get, right?
Right,
so
right.
You're trying to match up when you can take homes and when you can take aways, as far as where you play the game, and it just fit how it fit, and so. Yeah, it would have been, I guess, better to maybe do it this year as a dress rehearsal for the new conference next year. But, we'll be talking next week about taking a really long bus trip to Jackson, Mississippi, and a lot of really long bus trips when we go to the SAA next year. So I guess that'll be our dress rehearsal, just like driving all the way out to Alpine to go to Sol Ross. So we have plenty of miles on the bus this year, even though we're not going to get on an airplane.
Right. I want to get a little bit more focused on the field. You've seen them. What do they do, and what do you expect them to do the same? What do you expect them to do different maybe this year from last year?
On offense, they're a run-first team. They play with a lot of fullbacks and tight ends, and they're good at that. They're a downhill power football team. And when you do that as an offensive style, you force the defense to bring more people closer to the football, and that puts your defensive backs in more of a one-on-one isolation situation. Last year, they were able to be successful with their isolation passes, and in the extra games, the games we've traded to scout one another, they did that. So I think a big element of their offense is they're going to run and run and run, and then they're going to try to take a shot down the field. Mm-hmm. And we have to do a better job than we did last year of stopping them having success when they run, and then try to throw a post, and run, and try to throw a fade down the sideline. We have to do a better job of negating that. On defense, they're kind of an umbrella defense. They don't do a lot of blitzing, 5 or 6. They're a 4-man rush as a base. And they do a great job of keeping things in front of them. So they don't want to give the other team any big chunk plays. They want to force teams to string together a lot of first downs consecutively to beat you. And assuming that nothing's changed, that's kind of what we expect their styles to be. When you go into any week 1 game, you don't know.
Right.
So they don't have any new film of us other than our last 2 games of last year, and we don't have any new film of them other than their last 2 games last year.
Well, you talked about all the guys that you've got coming back. College teams are typically good at reloading, but are there any key players that they had last year that you know of that aren't back, that you don't have to worry about this year?
All 6 of their all-conference players last year were seniors, so they'll have some new faces. But with that said, their 2 deep is loaded again with juniors and seniors. So they're not, they didn't have an empty cupboard that they're just going to fill in with freshmen and sophomores. But there will be some new faces that we don't have film on in some key roles. Their quarterback, I'd say, is maybe their their marquee returning player. He wasn't an all-conference player last year, but he's a good football player, their quarterback, and he does a great job of throwing those one-on-one routes. When their receivers get isolated on a corner or a safety, he's been really consistent in delivering for their big plays.
Well, you mentioned last year was the first game with the new run and shoot offense, and man, that's a lot different than going from Coca-Cola to Pepsi. What's the same? What's different for you guys heading into the new season?
Well, you don't want to give too much away, but I think we're just building off of what we did last year. We weren't in a situation with returning receivers, returning linemen, and returning quarterbacks and returning running backs. We didn't have to say, okay, what do we have now, and what's the new thing that's going to really fit our personnel? We're always going to be a football team that plays to our strengths, and we'll tailor our defense and we'll tailor our offense with the personnel that we have. This year, with 7 or 8 returning starters on offense and 9 on defense, we've just been tweaking more than revamping. We haven't had to roll out new playbooks and come up with new things to put our players in positions to be successful. We're just adding and tinkering and tweaking. So we feel really good about our ability to know our schematics and know our jobs. And if we can put out a good healthy football team, I think we'll have a chance at having a pretty good opening game.
Well, as we said at the outset of the show, this is the Pirates' final year in the ASC, and I don't know if it's a good news or a bad news kind of deal, but you only get one non-conference game to kind of two up. You've had the one scrimmage a week and a half ago or so, and then you've got this one, and then you're right smack into a conference play. So how much is this sort of a working scrimmage, I guess, that counts on the record?
We don't look at it that way. We want to win every game, and so there's no looking at it as tune-ups. Every game is our biggest game. It's this is the only game we're talking about, the only game that we're thinking about. Belhaven actually is going to be a non-conference game because they switched conferences already.
That's right. I forgot about that.
It's a familiar team. It's a team we've played the last 5 years. But that'll actually be a non-conference game, and it will feel like a conference game.
Right.
And then we go right into, as you said, eight games in the ASC. But to answer that question, we don't look at our non-conference games, at least I don't, and I don't talk to our players about that, as a preseason game. That's what our scrimmage was for. Mm-hmm. We want to go out and we want to be successful in every game that we play, and we just take them one at a time, and every game is the biggest game.
Which kind of makes sense. We were talking just a moment ago about how you only get 10 games. You don't want to waste one, I guess, is kind of the philosophy, right?
I'd agree.
Yeah. Yes. So anything going on at the stadium that you wanted to promote or talk about? I didn't see anything on the schedule, but there might be something I'm not aware of. So.
We've got a couple things going on. On Friday, we are hosting our first annual pep rally that we're going to be making an annual event before our first game. And it's going to be at the location of the new stadium that's coming. And so the stadium will be, the timelines will be forthcoming. But our president announced, as a part of a lot of the major initiatives she has to really launch Southwestern into its next phase of existence and the next long-term plan, among the plans that she has is an addition to our outdoor athletic facility, which is a multi-purpose stadium that obviously will house football on campus for the first time in probably about 75 years when it comes to campus. Right. Yeah, we can clap for that. Yeah. That's pretty cool. But it's gonna host a variety of campus events, commencement, other sports games. I'm sure soccer wants to play on the grass, but if there's a monsoon, they can roll over to the turf and not have to cancel things. So it's going to be a really uplifting thing for all of us. So to get folks accustomed to come into campus, we're going to start having our pep rallies at where the stadium will be. The activities, the events and games will start at 7:30. The pep rally event will start at 8 o'clock. There's going to be a lot of giveaways. There's some cash prize contests that are open to our students. Sorry, folks, here you don't get to play the big cash game. But we're going to give away a 50-inch TV. We're going to give away lots of T-shirts. We're going to give away tickets. Double Dave's, one of our corporate partners, is going to be there with some samples, so you're going to get to eat a little bit. It should be a really fun event. Our pep band is going to be there. They're going to start it and end it and play all throughout. Our cheer and pom groups are going to be there. We're going to introduce the starters. Just all the fun things that come with one of the great football traditions, which is a pep rally. And so
Yeah.
that's going to be our new tradition to kick off every season.
I think that's awesome. And you got to have that to build that atmosphere on campus. And I think it's a nice way to transition into the fact, especially with people knowing that stadium is coming. That's going to be pretty cool.
And you didn't mention anything going on at the stadium. Of course, we're playing at Birkelbach until we move back to campus. For folks that are going to come and tailgating opens 3 hours before the game. So it's a 7 o'clock game, so at 4 o'clock, especially if you're a parent, let them know you want to be in the parent row, because 2 hours before kickoff at 5 p.m. we have our team parade. This year hopefully will be led not only by the SUPD but by our pep band. They're hoping to serenade us as we go through. Our cheer and pom squad will be with us as well. That's always a fun event that the players really appreciate. You know, they'll walk through looking all tough, but they really do appreciate it. They notice when the tailgaters are there and their parents are there cheering them on. And so that is one of our game day traditions, is that our home games 2 hours before kickoff, the team parade goes right down the parent row in our tailgating area.
Well, that's very cool. Looking forward to that, and a great way to kick off the 2022 season. Any final thoughts here before we let you go and get ready for Saturday?
I think we hit on it. We're excited about how we left off, and we're very hopeful that we can pick up where we left off, and we'll get a report card on that this Saturday.
Sounds good. Well, it's been fun being back here again. We'll work out some of the kinks. I'm just glad we got through the first one. You never know when you haven't done it in 5 years. So, well, we made it through. Thanks to everybody for coming out here tonight. Thanks to Jack Farrell and Suna Vincott for getting us on the air. Nathan Nunez back at the Vype Live Studios. On behalf of Coach Austin, my name is Merle Bertrand. Kickoff is at 7 o'clock, correct, Saturday
7
night?
p.m.
And we'll be on there at roughly 6:45. You can find it on Southwestern Pirates. You can find it on Vype.com, VYPE.com. And we'll be back at Birkelbach Field to get the 2022 season started on Saturday night. Until then, have a great night. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you next time. Good night, everybody.
Hi, Mom and Dad.